Hello and welcome to Square Raindrop. I'm Jo Wheeler.
And I'm Steff Golter.
And Steffi, this week I am looking for lost things. I've lost my car keys, I've lost my sunglasses, and I've lost a cat. And it's all the weather's fault. Well, maybe not the cat, to be fair, but the rest of it, definitely the weather's fault.
How did you figure that? I mean, I know we've lost summer, but in what way does that also mean you lose everything else?
Well, for the first week of autumn, we actually had everything. We've had some warm summer sunshine. We've had strong winds.
Excuse me, Jo. Could I just correct you? Not all of us have had that warm summer sunshine. We have not had any in the south. Not a single dot.
Gosh, it was warm here the other day. Lovely and sunny it was. Beautiful.
Not again. Is this going to be another Greece fiasco where I have to say no more Greece? We do not mention it ever again. Like past.
Okay, I'm simply going to say that here on the East Coast, we've had some warm summer sunshine. We've had some very heavy rain. We had some strong and gusty winds. It turned out rather misty the other day. In fact, the only things we haven't had so far are hail and snow. But, you know, things can change. But what this means is when I take my dogging out, I'm either wearing my coat or I'm wearing a bag slung across my body, and one way or another the keys and my sunglasses have got lost between there and somewhere else.
Well, your
so I've got
cats
to find those.
also in your pockets. Are they very small miniature cats?
No, the cat has suffered a different kind of fate. I went up in the loft. This doesn't happen very often. I have to.
Do I need a tissue, Jo? Is this a sad story? I've got one to hand.
Well, not yet. Let's put it that way. So I moved the little hatchy thing across and I went up into the loft and I left it open because daughter dearest was sorting out some clothes and I knew some of them would be going back. So, of course, I didn't put the hatch back. And somehow the cat is in the loft somewhere. Now, unless you can squeeze through a very small pipe, she's still in there. But I have no idea where. So I have to find the cat before I can shut the loft.
And food has not helped this, because normally they'll come out for food.
Not this one. Not this one. Honestly, this cat could do a hunger strike like no other. As far as the toileting facilities are concerned, I'm just not even going to think about it.
Are they just
anyway? Moving on to the weather bit, which, as you mentioned, you know, we've had a real variety here. You've had a bit of a wet time of it. Now, this was all down to a cut-off low.
That's right. While you were enjoying every single season that there is imaginable, other than midwinter with snowdrifts, we have had rain, a bit more rain, and then some more rain.
Was it warm rain at all?
Well, warmer insofar as it wasn't frozen. But yeah, it was relatively mild rain. But still, we're all inside at 16 degrees going, this is not warm. This is not feeling very summery. It's not even feeling autumny. And then there's you going, 28 degrees today. Don't think I'll forget that one in a hurry.
Why so much rain? And it wasn't just you. Parts of Wales really got hammered, didn't they?
Yes. So we had about 48 millimetres of rain in 2 days, whereas Swansea had an awful lot more. They had 87.2 millimetres of rain in 1 day. 43.8 of that was just in 1 hour. That is a phenomenal amount of rain. As you can imagine, lots of flooded streets and, you know, pictures of cars sort of wading through with tidal marks on the cars as they went through the water. So yes, it has been very, very wet down here. You've been extremely lucky to have at least had a little bit of sun, a little bit of warmth. But yeah, in the south, it has not been a good week.
Now, it wasn't just us either, was it? Because some of the pictures we saw across Europe were really spectacular. Parts of Spain, parts of France, parts of Belgium, I think, all saw some incredibly heavy rain and dreadful floods as well.
We had a block. So normally low pressures whip through pretty quickly. So you get your rain, you get your wind, but then it disappears. So it's not a major issue. But this one was part of a blocking system. So it ended up just to the south of the UK for most of the time, generating this whole series of wet weather that spread across many parts of Western Europe, and particularly northwestern Europe. And there was just so much rain, all in the same place. So lots of flooding, lots of issues before eventually it could clear away.
And then the rain down in Spain falls mainly on the plain.
Yes. But as this rain moves away, Jo, you think, oh, great. Well, at least things couldn't get any worse. Haha, that's when the doors open from the north and we get Arctic air, Arctic maritime air. So it is not only cold, but it's also laden with moisture. And so this week is looking not very summery, not very autumnal. I'd say kind of wintry. We're looking like tail end of November, really. Snow on the mountains in Scotland.
Suddenly, I'm less concerned about my sunglasses, but I will continue to look for my car keys. You, on the other hand, are grabbing the last day to wear a t-shirt.
Yes, I think it's just because I've got lights next to me and they're vaguely warm. I was outside yesterday. I've given up this year. That's just it for my garden. So I was pruning everything down to the bare minimum. I'm doing my winter prune already, Joe.
That is pretty impressive. Now, I've got in the garden, I've got some figs, which are beautiful, and some plums that are beautiful. This is despite the fact I haven't intentionally grown very much this year. The trouble is, I don't really know what to do with them. Apart from I don't eat figs and plums.
Oh, you don't like them? Oh no. We've got figs in our garden and they're great. I love to have them in salads with feta. They're really nice, but apparently looking at your face, not so much, huh?
Oh, well, no, I was going to actually ask everybody out there what they would do with figs and plums. What's the best thing you can do, particularly when you've got an awful lot of them, which I believe I have, although I have not yet dared to venture into the bottom end of the garden. I believe the bindweed is still in full flow, and I have no idea what to do with that until it just dies.
Ah, yes, bindweed. So if you pull up bindweed, obviously the roots stay and they just grow again next year. If you manage to snap some bindweed, the bit you snapped off, that'll grow too. So it's just this never-ending massive. But the lady over the road gave me a tip. She said, unwind it, don't just snap it off, unwind it, and then put it into a bottle with poison, and that will kill the roots, and that makes it go. Now, I haven't tried it because we have rather a lot of bindweed, and I fear it would take my entire life to get rid of it. But I am going to give it a go in a patch and see if we can make it work.
The bottom end of the garden, I think that's a vain hope to try and do it that way. I will put up some photographs of that. The near part of the garden, where my roses are, I may actually try it, but then I don't really want to put poison in anything that's going to be close to the dog.
No, but I think you can put them in a bottle and somehow put a lid on. There is a way to contain it, like in a bottle. Right, yes, keep the dog out of the way, definitely.
Well,
so your dog is the size of a small elephant. It would take an awful lot of poison, I fear, to do that dog harm to its toenail.
Well, there is that, that's for sure. Now, of course, it is back to school time, is it not?
Oh, it is. We have had a week of rain, but at least the kids have been contained in the school. What has happened today, which is very exciting, is Mia has decided she wants to learn the oboe. And I don't know whether all counties do this, but Hampshire Music Service rent you out instruments. So you don't have to go and buy an instrument when you have no idea whether they're going to like it for more than 5 minutes. Look at this cute little backpack. This is her junior oboe. It's the cutest thing.
Why an oboe?
She came home and said, Mummy, I want to learn the oboe. And I said, oh, I've signed you up for the piano. And she went, no, Mummy, it's the oboe. So then we had to go and jump through a few hoops. So look at that. Isn't that the cutest little thing? She is going to love it. She might not play it, but she's going to love putting it together and taking it apart again and cleaning it.
You can do that with a clarinet as well. Now, of course, you're speaking my language here. And yes, you're right. Actually, many music services across the country do rent out instruments. And if you play for a brass band, like what I do, you can often learn within the band. They'll have junior bands. And so you get music tuition for free as well. Pretty impressive.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I didn't know you could do that, but this is all through the school. So that's great. But I didn't know you could also do it through ensembles as well. Brilliant.
Yeah, you can. I remember my brother learning to play the violin at school, and we duly turned up for whatever concert it was, where these poor children were scraping away at the pitiful
I played the
strings.
violin. I think you mean making beautiful, tuneful music that was adorable to your ears. Sounded like angels laughing.
Nope. Anyway, my brother, he was sitting there on the stage about to play for the headmaster and the assembled company, and he hitched his chair and one leg went off the edge of the stage, and with that he tumbled to the floor.
Oh no!
And he landed at the headmaster's feet, brandishing the violin, which was unharmed, going, it's fine, it's fine. I doubt the violin was in tune after that, but you know something, it never sounded like it was, so I'm not too worried. Yeah, tuning, not the best thing to do. Now, of course, very soon after the children go back to school, and I've always thought this is a bit weird. Well, obviously, it's harvest time, so they have harvest festival, don't they?
Yes.
So you've just about got them back to school. You've just about assembled the books, found out the new timetables, squeaky new shoes, all the bits and pieces they have. And then you're asked to remember something obscure from the back of your mother's cupboard. Yeah, which probably comes in a tin, something that the elderly might like. But these days it's something like gigi seeds, with like avocado and moldy brie or something like that, which no elderly person or self-respecting would ever eat in a million years. And you have to take that to school and cast it up to the front and sing all things bright and beautiful, or is that the springtime one?
Yeah, I think here are red apples for you and me. That's what we sing around here anyway. No, in our place, I'm hoping they say cans, because my dad, during lockdown and since, he doesn't seem to change his Tesco order, has just ordered 1 billion minestrone soups because that's all he eats for lunch. There is no variation. He will.
They last a while. Can you not save them?
No, that's the good thing. He can save them in minestrone soup and they're safe in the cupboard, except he doesn't use cupboards because he's a man. They just sit on the counter. But sometimes there's been substitutions. And these have been not, obviously, minestrone soup, but he's taken them in the house for some reason rather than just saying no. So he has quite a few vegetable soups. These are like poison to him. So I have now taken his collection of vegetable soups and I'm waiting for Harvest Festival, poised with 1 million tins of vegetable soup.
Talk about being prepared, love. Talk about being prepared. Now,
dip, dip, dop, dop.
I have a question for you. Well, it's more of a question for me, but I can't answer it, so it'll have to be you that answers it. A short while ago, again, perhaps talking lockdown, I ordered a new washing machine. I had to because my daughter was complaining the old one had broken, and whilst I knew I could fix it, for some reason the bits were taking days and days to come through, and she got frustrated. So off I went to buy this machine, and I think what persuaded me to buy it was the fact it does something fuzzy with bubbles. I don't know, it's got a bubble wash or something. It sounded very exciting. But on the many, many thousand settings it has,
it has one of the settings, is it bubble bath? Are you actually supposed to get in this thing?
I think maybe you are. I tell you what you can do. You can add a sock to it after it's started.
It's amazing. I still said too. It changed my life.
No, it didn't. No, it sounded exciting, but it hasn't. In fact, if you try and add something afterwards, it goes into kind of abeyance and you have to press everything on it to get it restarted again.
Oh no, mine actually does work. So you just press pause, open it, put it in, shut it, press go.
Yeah, it's pressing the go bit that mine doesn't seem to have. It goes, I'm not doing anything more. I'm going to sit here for a while and savour that sock.
Oh, wow. No, ours is fine. The only thing is, if it's got water in, obviously, then it says I'm not opening now. That ain't happening because your house is going to get flooded. But most of the time, yeah, press the button, open it, put it in, shut it up, off you go. Bob's your uncle.
It's very considerate.
Bob, but not your uncle.
I did have an uncle called Bob, actually, too. Anyway, I digress. What I want to know is, why does my machine have a cloudy day setting, but no sunny day setting?
Sorry, what?
So my kind of universal program is called a cloudy day setting. Why? How would you wash clothes differently on a cloudy day to a sunny day? I can understand the drying is different, but not the washing. Why? Why would it call it a cloudy day setting?
That is beyond me, Joe. I have no idea. Mine just has an on button. Oh, and a pause button to put in the sock. That's it.
Which you can see, obviously, as I obviously can't. I don't understand that. Is it like if you did have a sunny day setting, it's going to leave everything wetter than it otherwise would do on the cloudy day setting, in which case you get to sneak in that cloudy day setting even when the sun's shining.
Yeah, and what about like the last week? Rain, just rain, 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 more rain. Does that dry it as well? I don't know.
No, just baffled, going to say baffled, but there you go. So this week, Steffi, you've already mentioned it's going to get a little bit colder. Air from the Arctic, wind from the northwest. How cold are we talking?
Well, at the moment, London's getting to about 18. And remember, it's done nothing but rain around that place for a while, but getting to about 19. So still in the mild air. But by Wednesday, we're looking at a top temperature of around 15. So, you know, in the south, we're looking at a drop of 4 degrees and people are already complaining it's not feeling very warm. And further north, we're looking at, first of all, maybe a bit of snow over the mountains in the showers. Then we're looking at a little bit of grass frost in the rural parts, and then air frost. Yay! So this week, it just keeps getting better and better.
Oh, how lovely. And to go with that rather brisk northwesterly wind at times.
Exactly. Just in case you thought that a morning temperature of about, you know, freezing was too warm, there'll be a nice brisk wind to make sure it feels that little bit colder.
Well, I'm glad you delivered that news, because I like to be the good fairy at the christening. Because me and my crystal ball, the one that you hate,
I
says
smash on a regular basis.
you try, but it does suggest that the second half of the month, hang on, we're almost in the second half of the month. Okay, anything after next week then, is actually going to be a little bit warmer and more
You know why that is, Joe? Because it can't get any colder. We're in September. It's already snowing. What more do you want?
Well, I just want to be the good person who brings the better weather towards the end of the month. That's it, Steff.
And anyway, the crystal ball doesn't even work, we've noticed. It's a bit dodgy. Needs a bit of a polish.
Like everything else does around here. Oh, whilst I'm at it, take a look at this. What do you think this is?
A snail, Joe? What's that doing?
It is a snail. It's a snail, but not where you'd expect to find it. That snail is on my ceiling, and it must have taken quite a while to get there.
What, is it in your kitchen?
Sort of, yes.
So it is near a door-ish. It's not like in the middle of the house.
It's about 15 feet from a door.
Wow, that's some fast-moving snail you've got there. In retaliation, in comparing, competition, don't know what the word is, Mia found, because that's Mia for you, a slug on the curtains. So not near an external door. I think it must have come in on a plant, but it was really quite big and crawling up the curtain. And I was like, I'm not so happy about this. That thing needs to go outside.
I'm really sorry not to be shocked, but slugs on the floor are a daily occurrence for me. Because I have the back door open for the dog. And honestly, every night I'm collecting up 4, 5, 6 of them. And my daughter was about to go outside the other night because we have a fridge in the garage. And I said, before you go, I said, perhaps you might want to put my shoes on. I said, there are slugs out there.
Oh, no.
And she came, she said, look at these slugs. And there are about 9 of them all crowded around something. I think it was a dog biscuit that had gone rogue and got a bit swelled by the rain. They all thought they'd have a nibble. Nice.
I thought when you said, I asked her if she wanted to put my shoes on, and I said, oh no, that's because I thought there was going to be a slug in the shoe.
No, there was not. No, the last momentous shoe incident we had was Caleb trying to put his shoes on his 18th birthday, and for some reason he found they didn't fit. And the reason they didn't fit is because there was a mouse in the end of it. I said, there you go, a birthday surprise. No complaining now. The mouse was fine, by the way.
But alive? Oh, it's probably keeping him nice and warm.
I know.
Unlucky.
But of course, he woke up all sleepy, tried to put his foot in his shoe, and nothing happened. Anyway, don't know why we're talking about that. Questions that need to be answered. Tom Vorden has asked us a very... I'm so sorry, Tom. Can't read my own writing. Tom Varden has asked us a very salient question. When we say there's a 40% chance of rain, not that I think either you or I have ever uttered those words, but when they are written somewhere, what does that actually mean? Does that mean there's a 40% chance of rain happening at all? Does it mean 40% of this time period is likely to be wet? What does it mean?
It means that on conditions such as these, 4 in 10 times you will get rain, is what it literally means. So if you had 10 days exactly the same, 4 of them you get rain, the rest of the time you wouldn't. That is the general meaning of that. But it ends up meaning there is a 40% chance that it will rain at some point in that hour on your head.
Okay. And for a bonus point, how do you calculate that?
Well, that's the slightly weird thing. So rain, when it says rain, it's not just any old rain. It's got to be a certain amount. And normally it's about 0.1 millimeters. So it's an amount you'd notice, not just a drop. The weird thing is the accuracy of the forecast at that point and how you calculate it. Because if it's a temperature of 18 degrees, either you get it or you don't, tick or cross. When it's a 40% chance of rain, what you have to do is get another 10 episodes where there's a 40% chance of something happening and check it happens on 40% chance of 40% of the days. So that's where it gets really complicated. It's quite easy to say, oh, I reckon it's likely to rain today, chances of it about 40%. But how do you measure the accuracy? And you have to go through like several different episodes of exactly the same thing and then check it's around 4 in 10 times that happens. Weird.
I bet somebody somewhere has actually got a job doing that. They spend their days checking.
I bet they do. I bet they do. The other slightly weird thing is, so for a location, it's one thing. So if you say in Winchester, there's a 40% chance of rain. So that means in that hour, there's a 40% chance that I will see rain falling on my head over 0.1 millimeters. But if it's the area you're forecasting for, and this happens more in the States really than here. But if you're saying in Wales, there's a 40% chance of it raining, that could be two different things. And this is where it gets really trickster. So it could be that you're expecting half of the area to get the rain, but it will be 80% because it's half of it, if you see what I mean. So then it would end up being 40% chance of rain. I think I've lost you. Whereas it could be, so there could be a rain band coming through and it looks like everywhere will get a 40% chance of rain. So then you can say 40%. But it could be that the rain only goes halfway across, but it's actually 80% chance of getting the rain up to half. So that means those probably won't. But because you're doing the area, you have to just go 40% for the area. Weird, isn't it?
I think really what you're saying is that such percentages are somewhat meaningless.
I think when you get to areas, it gets a bit complicated and a little bit unhelpful when you do have that, you know, is it half of the air? Is it this or is it that? When it's raining on your head in your location, so in Lincolnshire, where you are, on your house, Joe, then I think if you say 60% chance of rain, most people go, that's over 50, quite likely to happen. Whereas if it's 30, not so likely to happen because it's less than 50. So I think it's okay when it's a place. I think it gets a bit confusing for most people when it's an area. And then people's heads just go.
I think mine's about to go that way. I'm going to go and join my snail on the ceiling.
Okay, I'll join my slug on the curtain then.
Any other weather questions you want answered? You know how to get hold of us, Steffi.
You can get hold of us on Facebook. We're at Square Raindrop. And then we're also at Square Raindrop on X, formerly known as Twitter. Then, if you're deciding to go to us on Instagram or on Threads, Instagram's friend, then we are Square Raindrop. Confused? We always are.